Hey guys, this is Giles, aka the God of SEO here, and I am today with Terry Kyle, the owner of Traffic Planet, Terry Kyle SEO, Sunday SEO, and about 20 other WSOs as well. So, Terry, tell us a bit about yourself then.
My background is pretty varied, Charles, but probably how I kind of got into internet marketing and eventually SEO is through advertising in Australia quite a while back. I used to be a copywriter for companies like Pepsi, McDonald's, Coca-Cola, IBM, Panasonic, those sort of big blue chip guys who are actually really horrible clients to work for, by the way. It wasn't nice at all. But at that stage, the web was kind of just emerging, and a few companies did sort of realize that they needed to invest in it, get into it. And back then, it was like a 386 computer was 15 grand, and getting a new website built was like $250,000. It was just like crazy, crazy levels of money to get in on the web. And even then, really, the general public sort of hadn't embraced it. They were still scared of buying online, that kind of thing. So I went from that. I had my first kind of internet business selling these non-fiction PDF books, which is okay, but I kind of got bored and gave up on that after a couple of years. Went and did some other things. I think in 2008, I came back with a small business ideas book on Amazon, which was sold through print on demand through a big company called Lightning Source. And when I put that book out, I realized very quickly that just the traffic from within Amazon was not going to be enough to make that a consistent seller. So I kind of forced myself to start learning SEO. So I sort of bought everybody's courses, tried lots of different things, just basically embarked on a huge process of sort of self-education. And what I found from that was that the real value came from being a kind of hardcore obsessive tester and testing out things for yourself, because it's amazing. A lot of quote-unquote wisdom does get kind of repeated on forums and things like that, and when you actually do some proper testing, you find out that a lot of that may not be quite accurate, and people have just sort of repeated it because they've read it somewhere or heard somebody say it. So I always encourage people to be get into testing themselves, and I know a lot of us are really busy, we don't necessarily have time for that, but it is pretty important. And through doing SEO in my book, and actually I got it to #2 in America against some really heavyweight competition, in a way it was kind of an early version of a parasite page, and I learned a lot through SEO in my book page. And basically beating out those guys for a long time, real heavyweights in small business space or business generally. And from there, I just kind of, it's just sort of developed naturally, and started running experiments like on Warrior Forum, and had my own forum with Backlinks Forum for a while, and that kind of morphed into Traffic Planet and various other products and things, while developing sort of my own affiliate marketing system and things like that, affiliate marketing portfolio, and that sort of brought me up to this point, I guess.
Okay, yeah. How did you actually get into Black Hat SEO? That's what I kind of want to know. From not necessarily just Black Hat SEO, but like you do your parasite pages, that kind of stuff. How did you? How come you chose Black Hat and over White Hat, and how did you actually get into doing Black Hat SEO yourself?
Yeah, I kind of don't have any hat distinction in my book. I mean, I know there's a lot of discussion about it. You either have SEO that works or SEO that doesn't. Yeah. And to me, really, white hat traffic generation is kind of not SEO. It's really that's more like kind of viral marketing, and it's very, if you're doing anything with white hat SEO, it's a bit of on-page optimization, but after that, it's really kind of viral traffic generation. The problem, of course, though, as you know, Charles, is that if you kind of just rely on that viral traffic generation, or for Google to find and supposedly reward your quote-unquote quality content, then you're in for a very, very long wait until any action starts with your site. So for me, it's kind of SEO or non-SEO. I don't really have this white hat, black hat distinction. So for me, it's really about techniques that work. But I do sort of ethically draw the line at black hat techniques like hacking other people's sites and putting links on them, or sending fake link removal requests to companies that are linking to my competitors and things like that. So my tactics are always directed at my own sites and not, for example, negative SEO, which I'd never do and just totally opposed to philosophically. So for me, it's really about whether it's effective. And generally speaking, and there are some exceptions in business models to this, I view SEO as kind of a stepping stone to creating genuine viral authority for a site. You know, it's that important thing that's going to get you some exposure. It's a little bit like being a new band, if you like, that's got this album that nobody's heard. You need to do some kind of hustle techniques and tactics to get it out there until it sort of catches on and develops its own momentum. You do, as I say, have businesses where that's not going to work. So, for example, if your client is a funeral company, it's very unlikely a funeral company is going to develop viral momentum online because it's just not that kind of business, or dry cleaning or lawn mowing or something like that. So, I mean, there are lots of businesses online that actually, some of them I know firsthand, offer quite a poor service but have very good SEO, and that seems to sustain them in business. But for most of the businesses I'm involved in, I try to get to that point of sort of self-perpetuating momentum and viral popularity that's established through that SEO exposure in the first place.
Yeah. Well, that's something that I wanted to talk about as well. Actually, building kind of the means to get that boost and that momentum straight away. What kind of tools and this is quite a big one. What kind of tools and software would you recommend, or with that kind of like a slash kind of thing? What is your favourite at the moment? Because I know a lot of tools and software have been getting kicks, like recently with the Raven Tools incident, and a lot of software has been becoming kind of a lot less and less used. Like SP Bomber just released a new one. What's your favourite kind of tools and software?
Sure. I mean, from the outset, Charles, I should say that there are different techniques in SEO that can achieve a similar outcome, and you kind of need to find the tools that fit with you, sort of your budget, your philosophy, or whatever. I'm not a big tool guy, and I don't personally use like SEMuke or Magic Submitter or stuff like that. I'm not a big tiered link builder. I never have been that much into it because my general philosophy is to build as few links as humanly possible to rank well. So, for example, if I'm building, you know, like 17 tiers with hundreds of Web 2.0s in each tier, and then I've got to monitor how they all link to each other and watch all of that, like, to me, that's all just way too much. And what I prefer, rather than those tools, is, for example, to have my own private blog networks of expired domains with PageRank, that I do use tools. So, for example, to post to my own private blog networks, we use Article Marketing Robot, which is not particularly built for doing that. We do encounter a lot of problems using that particular tool, and we're in the process of commissioning, getting our own software built that's really a lot more bespoke and does exactly what we want. But I'm not big into you know, link building with tools. Obviously, I use things like SEO Quake. I will use Market Samurai from time to time, although I tend to go more on my own research from Google's own search results pages. And I think, you know, as an SEO, you sort of reach that point where you've accumulated enough experience and judgment where, you know, you look at a search results page and you've got a pretty good feel for how difficult it is to rank there. And from there, in terms of ranking, I'm going to use a bunch of press releases, it could be through PR Web or other sources, and I'm going to use my private blog networks and look at getting those contextual high PR links, which for me is still the dynamite, you know, that's still about at the core of the SEO that I do.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's quite interesting. I personally use Rankwise to post my blog. That's the tool I use, but okay, so next question, I think I'll move on. That's pretty self-explanatory with the tool stuff. What's been your biggest success in your entire SEO and more to say your internet marketing career?
That's a good question. I think my biggest success is a little while ago I found a way to acquire backlinks from CNN that were do follow backlinks from PR pages. And I applied the same technique to whitehouse.gov, and I've gotten backlinks from there, and I've used this as well to get do follow backlinks from basically almost any huge authority site in the world. And obviously being able to get CNN backlinks or links from whitehouse.gov is pretty substantial.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably it. Most recently, I think in the longer term, probably building up a community of great people like on Traffic Planet, for example.
Yeah.
You know, great people who generously share their time and experience and regularly contribute. Communicating with those sort of people and being a part of that community is probably the thing I'm most proud
of. Okay, cool. The opposite side of that, what's been your kind of biggest failure in your career? So like, not necessarily like, you know, some people have said before that I've been interviewing them that their biggest failure was they went broke one time. But like, your biggest downfall kind of in your career.
Yeah. Absolutely, that's an easy one. And I hope that anyone listening to this recording can take this on board, because I wish somebody had kind of spelled it out to me. With my first internet marketing business, which is going back to like 98 to 2001, 2002, somewhere around there, as an entrepreneur, I was completely emotionally attached to my success being tied up to the success of a specific product. So it was sort of like I just emotionally invested far too much in this particular product being a success. And when it wasn't the big success that I wanted to be, I was just kind of crushed and devastated. And I found that it actually took quite a while to recover from. And looking back, it was just so dumb, because as an entrepreneur, your loyalty should be kind of to your own commercial success, not to any specific product or service that you develop. So you need to develop this kind of detachment from the products and services you develop or promote, in a way that if it's just not going to perform and you've given it your best shot, you've tried everything possible, it's just one of those things that's just not going to catch, it's not going to get the momentum, give it up and just move on to the next one and get a lot more sort of mercenary about it and less emotional and dispassionate about your kind of quote-unquote babies that you create. You know, if it doesn't work out, that's completely normal and fine, just drop it and move on to developing something else.
Yeah. Okay. And
easily my biggest failure there, Charles, was kind of a mindset issue.
Yeah. So trying to get like emotionally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I understand.
So you know, if you start a blog that doesn't work out, no biggie. You kind of learn some skills from it and go back, study the market that you want to be active in, look at those problems that you can find solutions for that are cheaper, faster, better, whatever than competitors, if there are already any in the space, and go with that. But you definitely don't want to be kind of emotionally devastated and view it as a personal failure. It was really just a failure of that particular product or service, so you just got to move on and just build the next thing.
Okay, yeah, and this kind of my last question. What kind of advice do you have, or kind of actionable tips do you have for kind of the readers at home that are listening to this, or at work? Some of them will be at work.
Sure, you mean like SEO?
Yeah, well, it can be SEO, internet marketing, pretty much. Anything they can take away to.
Sure. I've written about this a little bit before, but just to quote Tim Ferriss, who was probably quoting someone else. Anyway, most people in business, or maybe even in life, tend to go an inch deep and a mile wide. And what you want to do is be the guy who goes an inch wide and a mile deep. And by that I mean to be a specialist and not a generalist. Too many people in SEO, or more internet marketing, I think, actually, than SEO, don't develop enough specialized expertise in something to become successful, so they just dabble. And there are all these endless kind of attractions, new angles to pursue in internet marketing. There's Facebook advertising. You can do this with Twitter, get onto Pinterest or whatever. And by just kind of jumping through all of those, a person never develops any specialized, valuable expertise. So, for example, where is the specialist in the world on exit pop-ups, for example? Maybe there is one, but I haven't heard of that person. And if somebody were like a scientist level expert on exit pop-ups, I would pay to find out what they know and access the program. Or where is the the deep dive? There probably are a bunch of people now on Facebook advertising in a specific niche. So, for example, who's the specialist on weight loss Facebook advertising? So you can kind of sub-niche down your specialization. And one of the ways that I like to explain this is that, if you have a headache, if you've got a headache today, Charles, you go down and see your local doctor because the doctor has got some specialists in that area. They've got some knowledge. You don't go to your accountant or, someone else, your uncle who's a mechanic if you've got a headache. But even after you go to the doctor might refer you to a neurologist who gets paid way more than the GP, the local doctor, because that person has got that deep dive specialist knowledge. So the best advice that I can possibly give anybody listening to this recording is to really commit and don't engage with something in a shallow way. And obviously it's got to be an area of knowledge that's lucrative and worthwhile and valuable to people. If you do it in 5th century Chinese pottery, that's probably not super valuable. But if you do it in something like exit pop-ups or any of those kind of online business fields, and you really commit to do whatever it takes to sort of become like one of the world authorities and specialists in that area. If a person can do that, I'm sure that they will not have any financial problems for the rest of their life if they commit to that and really properly market themselves. So it's all about, just to wrap up that idea, Charles, just to focus it, it's really all about specialization, not generalization.
Yeah, I think that's what I've tried to just kind of put my blog just as an SEO blog, but then because I kind of like interest myself in about 20 other things, I kind of put posts about a wide variety of things, not just related to SEO. And I think I'm going to try and get back more and start doing more posts to my roots, which is just rank the website on Google. But thanks for taking part in the interview, Terry, as well. It was lovely having you on here as well, and I'm sure the readers will get a ton out of this as well. It's been Charles with godofseo.co, and thanks to Terry Carl for taking part. Got any final words, Terry?
Sure. Pleasure to be on here, Charles, and if anyone has any follow-up questions, they can get in touch with me. I'm pretty easy to find. I'm happy to explain in more detail.
Okay, and that's pretty much it. Don't forget to check out Terry's new product, which is SEO Traffic Hacks, and there'll be a link below this to that. Thanks for watching, guys. It's been Charles with godofseo.co. Peace.